Welcome to the Tuesday evening Banquet Awards for the CALLERLAB convention here in Niagara Falls. I've had a great time at this convention. I hope you have too. I've learned a lot of things, been to some great sessions. I got to talk to Ernie Kinney and find out how to take salad dressing from every table around him. I got to talk to Ed Foote and learn some new jokes to tell from the stage. Not sure if I'm going to tell them or not, but if you want to know what they are, you have to ask Ed Foote. I would like to take a moment to introduce the Board of Governors and your staff here. We have at the head table. Starting at my right, your left, way down here at the bottom left. Way down here, we have Elmer and Margie Sheffield. Please hold your applause until the end. Pam and Barry Clasper, Chairman of the Challenge Committee. Kayla Jones, Vernon Jones, Chairman of the Lesson Systems. Betty Ann Brown and Skip Brown, Chairman of the Plus Committee. Joanna Hurst and Robert Hurst. Bear Miller, the Chairman of the Caller Association Liaison Committee. Patty Green. Tom Rudebach, the Chairman of the Mainstream Committee. Scott Byers, the Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee and Chairman of Competition in Schools. If there's any confusion, you can ask them later about their names. Wendy and Norm Wilcox. A moment ago we had Calvin and Judy. We'll come back to that. Roy and Betsy Gata, Chairman of the Caller Training Committee. And Paula Cole and Larry Cole at that end. Going to my far right down here, we have your Executive Director, Dana Shermer and Donna Shermer. The Assistant Executive Director, Jerry Reed and Del Reed. Jim Mayo, Joanne Mayo. Tim Mariner and Donna Mariner, on the Executive Committee and the Vice Chairman. From Roundalab, Karen Herr and John Herr. To my left, my wife Jennifer. John Marshall and Mary Hutchinson, the Executive Committee. He's the Chairman of the CALLERLAB. Right down. Clark Baker and Miriam Baker, Chairman of the Definitions Committee. Bill Harrison and Tom Miller, Chairman of the Advanced Committee. Is anybody on Facebook? You know that part where you say your relationship is single, married, divorced, or complicated? That's complicated. And then at the very end here, Deborah Carroll Jones, Chairman of the Women in Callings Committee, and John Jones. Give them a big hand. Complicated, yes. At this time, I'd like to introduce your next speaker, John Kaltenthaler. John started calling in 1956. He joined CALLERLAB in 1974 and attended the first CALLERLAB convention and every convention since then. This is his 37th convention. John was presented the CALLERLAB Milestone Award in 1998 and a CALLERLAB Gold Card in 2009. John has served many years as the Executive Director of CALLERLAB. You may remember him from the early years and all the communications that came out from him. Mr. John Kaltenthaler.
Unaccustomed as I am to speak to this group, prior to tonight, there have been 13 Gold Card life memberships awarded to CALLERLAB members. And as we make this presentation tonight, some of you may wonder or try to guess who it is that's going to be the recipient. I'll bet it is so-and-so. Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. However, I am quite sure that all of you will be pleased with the caller we select to give the gold card to tonight. This man began his calling in 1955, and although he claims to have made an earlier appearance doing a singing call as a young 7th grader, many decades ago. He is called at many festivals, square dance vacations, in most of the states and in 12 countries outside the U.S. He has taught for credit courses at the university level. His credits also include recording for 5 record producers. He and his son were the first CALLERLAB duo to record a duet record. One of his early mentors was Ray Smith, who remarked to our recipient while watching a floor of dancers who suddenly all stopped dancing. Ray said, "That caller's so good nobody can dance to him." But before I go on listing this caller's many accomplishments, maybe it would be a good idea to tell you a little bit of his background. One of his early mentors was Ray Smith, who, as I said, made that comment about stopping the floor. Many callers will do anything to get to a dance in a timely fashion. Our caller tonight agreed to go with a caller friend of his who happened to be a pilot to a regional dance. And they were going to fly in a small plane, but they found that the battery was dead. After they had placed all of the baggage on the seat, they realized that the battery was under the seat. So they had to unload the baggage. And then they decided, since the battery charger was not in the hangar, they better have to push the plane out onto the taxiway. More manual labor. When they got to the battery charger, they found out that it was broken. Other plans had to be quickly established, and a manual start was the solution. Our caller, who is getting the award tonight, said he didn't know what that meant. And his helpful friend, the pilot, said, "Crank the propeller by hand and quickly get out of the way." Our caller did this without further damage to himself and no loss of body parts. Bravely, he even agreed that he would return home with the same pilot. But on the return flight, the pilot said he was very tired and said to him, "You fly the plane." "But I don't know how to fly the plane," he whimpered. And the pilot took a nap. But before he took the nap, he said, "If you want to go higher, pull back. If you want to go lower, push forward. If you want to go to the right, turn the wheel to the right. If you want to go left, turn the wheel to the left." Piloting and life was simpler in those days. Another time, our caller friend tonight was at a roadside cafe for breakfast. And the waitress said, "Do you want hash browns or grits?" He said, "I know what hash browns are. What are grits?" She explained to him what grits were. And he said, "That sounds pretty good. I'll have one grit." Our caller attended the first convention in 1974. He has served on many different CALLERLAB committees and has chaired many of them. He was awarded the coveted Milestone Award, which is the highest award that CALLERLAB bestows. He has served on the Board of Governors for many years and was chairman of the board for 2 years and currently serves as chair of the Applications Review Committee. He is an accredited caller coach and was instrumental in the development of the caller training program. By now, many of you have figured out who the recipient is tonight. It is now my distinct pleasure and privilege to present the the gold card, and life membership to Mr. John Jones of Arlington, Texas.
No pictures. Thank you. Good Lord, look at that photo. I really don't know what to say other than thank you so much. The story that John told is true. And if there's more to it than what he told, but I won't bore you with that. Vernon and Caleb probably knew about this too, huh? And my lovely daughter is here tonight and surprised us by flying in from Chicago. Julie, would you stand up, please? She claims to be Melton Luttrell's date tonight. But I truly appreciate this. Thank you.
It's a good picture, John. My next speaker tonight, I'd like to introduce Buddy Weaver. Buddy Weaver comes from California. Don't hold that against him, though. Just like I do, yes. Buddy started calling in 1977. He joined CALLERLAB in 1981 and has attended 10 CALLERLAB conventions. Some of you know Buddy has a handful of record labels, and he's producing music, and he's been very instrumental in helping with the record production for square dance music for quite a while now.
As previously announced, CALLERLAB has presented only 14 times in 32 years the prestigious Gold Card Award. 3 recipients are here tonight. CALLERLAB Lifetime Membership, known as the Gold Card, is presented to long-term CALLERLAB members who have provided outstanding service to the organization. Members who have been awarded the Gold Card include Arnie Cronenberger, Lee Helsel, John Kottenthaler, Bob Osgood, Bob Van Antwerp, Cal Golden, Herb Egender, Bill Davis, Bill Peters, Jim Mayo, Martin Mallard, Gloria Rios Roth, Frank Lane, and most recently, John Jones. It is truly a select group. Their service has gone above the ordinary and has not gone unrecognized. And now a new name will join this elite set. Our honoree was born and raised in Oklahoma. Following graduation from the University of Oklahoma, he served our country as a United States Marine. Shortly after leaving the service, he took a teaching job, moving to what would become his permanent home in the San Joaquin Valley of California. It was there in 1958 he started square dancing and began calling in 1960. In his 50 years of calling, he has taught beginner lessons every single year. He will tell you that teaching beginners is the most important and often overlooked skill of being a caller. Very early in his calling career, he saw the need for and led efforts to standardize calls while creating a list of calls so that dancers may dance away from their home club while traveling. When CALLERLAB instituted programs, or as they were known at the time as levels, our caller led efforts to make CALLERLAB programs a standard in California. As the first caller to organize a caller-run festival in California, the Sequoia Stomp was the first West Coast festival to use and promote CALLERLAB levels, the first to have multiple halls with various levels. He is the first record producer to use CALLERLAB levels on cue sheets, many figures, using all the CALLERLAB levels. The first record producer to record 2 couple called patter records at the new CALLERLAB levels. A devoted member of CALLERLAB. He has served us on the Board of Governors for 11 years. 5 years on the Executive Committee. He was chairman of CALLERLAB for 2 terms. During his time as chairman, CALLERLAB met the challenge of mandatory BMI ASCAP licensing. And at this time of unrest, he stood before the membership calm and steadfast. During his time as chairman, he also presided over the first mini-lab convention. He makes us laugh. Sometimes he makes us roll our eyes and groan. He is one of a kind. For outstanding service, the CALLERLAB Gold Card is presented to Ernie Kinney.
Make sure somebody helps him up those stairs. Ernie, stop working the crowd. We're waiting.
First time in my life, I don't know what to say. I certainly appreciate this, and I must tell you, though, that Buddy lies a lot. Most of the things he said are true, but some of them are the way he graduated. He what? Evacuated, or he graduated, or he told it wrong. No, to me, it's a wonderful thing to have this. This is what they call a gold card? Lanny told me to be nice.
Please be nice.
She said, please be nice. No, it's been a lot of fun. And like I say, if you're going to be a square dance caller, you got to love people, especially other callers. But it's been a lot of fun in this life, and didn't have near as much fun in the Marine Corps, but I've had a lot of fun since. And thank all y'all. She's going to help. Would you come down the other end, please? Go down there.
We're going to give him a moment to work the crowd all the way down this side, too, okay? For those of you who don't know Ernie Kinney, it's well worth your while to get to meet this man. He is something else. He will make you laugh. He'll tell you things you never knew. I'd like to introduce the next speaker. You just heard him a moment ago because he was a gold card recipient himself. John Jones, as we know, started calling in 1955. He joined CALLERLAB in 1974 and attended the first CALLERLAB convention and every convention since then. This is his 37th convention. John was presented the CALLERLAB Milestone Award in 1985, and of course the gold card tonight. He has also served 2 terms as chairman of the speech. John Jones. Chairman of the board.
Thank you, Eric. Excuse me. That story that John Kay was telling a while ago about that airplane ride, that friend of mine, at least I thought he was, we were headed for Roswell, New Mexico, in a really small plane. I'm going to take a little more time, guys, if you don't mind, just a second. But, all right. Ernie, you've had your turn. Sit down. Lanny, don't you have any control over him at all? Bless your heart. You should receive 2 gold cards just for putting up with him. Look at it. He'll go around to every table now. I get it. Ernie, sit down. May I proceed now? You better watch it. I'll tell them when you were a coach in Kermit, Texas, which wasn't far from where I was born. But anyway, on that plane ride going to Roswell, New Mexico, we had a very hard headwind. And so we lost time going in this small plane. Let me digress just a moment. Melton told me, he said, don't bring hardly any luggage because the plane is small. Well, I carried just barely enough to get by for 2.5 days because that's how long we were going to be in Roswell. And I just had just a little bit. Of course, I had my records because we were still using vinyl. This was a long time ago. And when I got to the airport where the plane was in a hangar, I realized why Melton asked me not to bring any luggage, because he had 2 big suitcases and 4 sacks of records. He had to have room to carry all of his junk. But anyway, on that flight going west in a headwind, and it started getting dark. And this was on Friday afternoon. And he said, I think we can make it on through if I can get some help from the tower. Now, mind you, we're almost to El Paso, Texas. And I said, well, maybe we ought to go ahead and land. And Bill Haynes was waiting for us in Roswell, New Mexico. I said, we can call Bill and he can come over here to El Paso and pick us up. And he said, no, I think we can make it. So he called the tower, and this is what he said. I said we were almost to El Paso. He picked up the microphone and he said, San Antonio Airport, San Antonio Airport, please come in. I said, Melton, we're in El Paso. El Paso Airport, El Paso Airport. Well, the guy came on and he started telling him what the situation was, and he said, well, turn your lights on. And he said, I don't know where the light switch is. He said, I've never flown at night before. And I said, Lord have mercy. So he gave him some quadrants to fly on. He had us do several turns so he could pick us up on the radar. And then when he did, he gave us several turns to make and what heading to take. Well, in a little while, Melton said, I don't really know for sure. See, we got to go. There's some mountains right on the west side of El Paso, and we got to go right by there. I think we need to go between them. He picked up the microphone again. He said, San Antonio Airport, San Antonio Airport, you come in. I said, Melton, we're in El Paso. El Paso Airport, El Paso. And by then, I had already messed up my pants in the seat, too. but we finally made it in. But that was one heck of an air ride that we made, I can guarantee you. Had this old country boy scared to death. And I mentioned that my daughter was here, and I'm glad that she is. And she's a flight attendant for American Airlines. And she's had a story about bronchitis on her flight one day. And also another story about Jerry Justin being on her flight. If you get a chance, get her to tell you those stories. I hope you get to meet her. I have known our recipient almost all of my calling career. We met approximately 1 year after I started. He and his wife started square dancing in the fall of 1949 in Eastland, Texas. He began guest calling in 1950 and never looked back. He attended Herb Gregerson's Caller School in Ruidoso, New Mexico that same year. It has been estimated that he has taught some 13,000 people to square dance. He has been the club caller for a club in Fort Worth for more than 50 years. He produced and recorded many records on his Square L label. As a caller, he has traveled most of North America as well as England, Australia, and New Zealand. He got involved in the establishment of CALLERLAB in 1973, and he put together a pamphlet on how to go about building a square dance hall. He was chairman of our styling committee when it was first organized. He was a member of our original Board of Governors and served several years in that capacity, as well as on the executive committee. He has served on numerous panels over the years, and he has attended every convention since 1974. He received CALLERLAB's highest award, the Milestone, in 1986. He is now awarded our Gold Card Lifetime membership for his long time and dedicated service. Please join me in presenting and congratulating Melton Luttrell. Look at his picture.
I asked John, do we have to pay dues now? He said, no. That's good. I have nothing else to say. I'll be very brief. I'm very appreciative. I'm sorry my wife of 61 years couldn't be here to join us. She's having a little trouble now. She has osteoporosis and has fractured her back twice in the last 6 months. And so she's getting around, but it's not very fast anymore. But she'd be proud to be here, and I'm here because of her. And that's, if there's any credit due in my life, it's due to her. And I thank you.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Mike Seastrom. Mike started calling in 1963. He joined CALLERLAB in 1977. This is Mike's 32nd convention. Mike was presented the CALLERLAB Milestone Award in 2001 and has served as 2 terms as chairman of the board.
How's everybody holding up, okay? All right, everybody made a good time and made their exit just right, came back. You know, there's some of us who pass through a brief period in their life to enjoy square dancing or even calling. But there are others who make it a lifelong passion. I say passion because they approach every endeavor of their square dance life year after year with whatever it takes to make what they're doing the best that it can be. Now, many of those who have this lifelong passion for our activity do it alone, or at least get some support and some understanding from the ones that their loved ones. But then there's some who are lucky enough to have a loved one right by their side the entire way. The caller and the leader that I'm referring to tonight is one such lucky man. His name is on the Milestone Award, but his amazing wife has been there and has supported his passion for our dance for all those years. And I know that as this presentation unfolds, many of you will know the identity of this fine gentleman, and I only ask that you keep it a secret until his name is announced. Our 2010 Milestone recipient and his future bride lived in the same town and were classmates in junior high school. In 1960, 4 years before they were married, they were invited to a square dance at a U.S. military base. They didn't speak English, so learning to square dance was very difficult for them. But the club members were very kind and encouraging, and our recipient enjoyed square dancing so much that a year later, at the age of 19, he attended a collar school at the military base and bought his first square dance records. Because of the very high exchange rate at the time, square dance records were very, very expensive to purchase and to have mailed to his country. That same year, 1961, he joined the Far East Callers Association, which was organized by the American military forces, and began to spread square dancing in his own country. In 1962, the dawn of square dancing in Japan, he established the Tokyo Callers Association and his own square dance club in that same city. In 1964, he and his wife were married, and square dancers from the military base and elsewhere attended. The MC of that wedding is with him here tonight. That same year, Bob Osgood, the editor of Sets in Order, American Square Dance magazine, and the future guiding force in the formation of CALLERLAB, along with another CALLERLAB founding father by the name of Bob Van Antwerp, came to Japan with a tour of American dancers. Our recipient was very impressed and inspired by dancers of different countries sharing the fun on the same dance floor, and was equally impressed with the professional calling techniques that he had witnessed. In 1966, he was director when the Japan Square Dance Callers Association was established, and during those years he participated in educating new callers and in American and Japan get-together square dance jamborees in close cooperation with the Far East Callers Association and the Japan Folk Dance Association. Our recipient was commended for his service to square dance activity in 1976 by His Imperial Highness Prince Takamatu Nomiya. In 1980, he assumed the position of Director of Organization Committee in the Japan Square Dance Association, and in 1988, he became the Chairman of the Board of Directors. He had helped to build cooperation between the 6 branches of the Japan Square Dance Association and was in charge of organizing the All-Japan Square Dance Convention in Tokyo that same year. He's traveled all over Japan to conduct callers classes and dance leader classes and has distributed free materials on how to manage square dance clubs. The Japan Square Dance Association grew to 1,100 members in 1975, then to 9,100 members in 2000, and now to over 14,000 square dancers in 2009. He helped establish the International Committee in CALLERLAB and became its chairperson in 1999 and has promoted CALLERLAB in his country and his travels around the world. He was a consultant for the Taiwanese Square Dance Convention and for their first convention in 2003, and has led tours to the Japanese dancers there ever since. As a matter of fact, he and his lovely wife have led tours of dancers to many places in the world over the years, and will lead another tour this year to the U.S., ending at the 59th National Convention in Louisville. In 2004, his leadership led the Tokyo Callers Association to join and to become an affiliated caller association with CALLERLAB. And in 2005, he wrote Square Dance for All under the supervision of the Japan Square Dance Association. This book has been a contributing force in the increasing square dance population in Japan. Our recipient also kept very busy working as a sales engineer at the Fuji Film Company, Ltd., and retired in 2002, which has given him more time to call more than 20 big events all over Japan each year and call for 5 clubs every week. His retirement has also given him more time to do some cooking at home, play golf with his wife, and get together with his daughter and her husband. All of this time and this extra effort here gives him a little time to smooth things out a little bit as he continues to add to his square dance collection, already occupying too much closet space at home. How many of you have a square dance collection occupying too much closet space at home already? He's working as a compilation member of the Historical Chronology of the Japan Square Dance Association, which will be issued at the 50th Japan Square Dance Convention in 2011. He's also organizing another huge anniversary party, the 50th anniversary of the Tokyo Square Dance Club in 2012. And while there are other fine leaders who have helped spread the joy of the square dance activity and helped it grow in Japan, one man, one couple stands above the rest. Tonight, it gives me enormous pleasure to present to a very deserving man, accompanied by his amazing wife of more than 45 years, the highest award CALLERLAB can bestow on any individual. I present the 2010 CALLERLAB Milestone Award to Masaru Wada. Yumiko-san, will you and Mr. Takozaki join Wada-san at the podium? I present Masaru Wada, Yumiko Wada. Masaru Wada had no idea that Yumiko would be joining us this evening, and I thank everyone involved for helping that happen.
Surprise. I moved Mr. my systems. I can say a lot of things in Japanese, but English. Please talk. Please talk. I can speak Japanese very well. Now, 名誉あるマイルストーン賞を受賞して大きな感激と名誉を感じております。
It was my great honor to receive such an honorable prize over here, and we're very, very much excited right now and surprised.
No. Now, 日本にはスクエアダンスの普及発展に努力しているコーラーがたくさんいます。今回のこのマイルストーン賞はこれらの多くの日本人のコーラーに与えられたというふうに感じております。
I have many Japanese callers in Japan. Just try to popularize, increase the activities of square dancing over there. And this prize also given to Japanese square dance callers.
私は日本人のコーラーを代表してこの
マイルストーン賞をお受けしたいというふうに思います。現在、日本には約1万5000名のスクエアダンス愛好者がおります。終戦後、一人のアメリカ軍の軍人の愛好者、ウィンフィールド・ニブロさんが長崎でスクエアダンスを日本人に紹介をいたしました。
Again, just I'd like to say, on behalf of Japanese square dance scholars, just I received this award over here. 1945, just after the World War just finished, Dr. Nibro was assigned by the commander of Occupation Army to raise the Japanese regulation. So Dr. Nibro just was assigned to introduce square dancing to just help and increase depression of Japanese people. So he just really started to square dance in Japan 1945.
この約50年の歴史の中で日本にも多くのスクエアダンス愛好者が育ちました。その一つの大きな要因として今日ここにお集まりの著名なコーラーの皆さん、そしてここにはいらっしゃっておりませんけれども、その他の多くのアメリカ人のコーラーの皆さんが日本に来日をいたしました。その素晴らしいコーラーの皆さんが、スクエアダンスというのはこんなに楽しいものだ。そしてスクエアダンスは健全で、そしてスクエアダンスを通じて多くの友人が作れる素晴らしいスクエアダンスというものを教えていただきました。これも日本のスクエアダンスの発展に大きく寄与していると感じております。
Number of total Japanese square dance just reached to almost 15,000. This is because of you, American callers over here, and also American square dance callers who could not come to this place. We owe Japanese square dance to them, everybody. Quite a few famous, well-known square dance scholars came to Japan to help increasing Japanese square dances. So we owe Japanese square dance activities to you, everybody.
私たちコーラーはこの素晴らしいスクエアダンスを次の世代につなげていかなくてはなりません。そのためにもスクエアダンスのこれからの普及発展に我々コーラーは共通の目的を持って進むではありませんか。
So now I would like to continue this kind of keep this wonderful, healthy activities of square dancing to future young square dancers in Japan. So please, you everybody over here, help a little bit more to increase, to keep and continue on our activities.
このマイルストーン賞受賞にあたって多くの関係者の皆様に心からお礼を申し上げます。そして私のスクエアダンス人生を支えてくれた私の妻の由美子と、そして娘の梢に感謝をしたいと思います。どうもありがとうございます。
just I'd like to thank wife Yumiko and their daughter Kozue. They all helped me receiving this kind of wonderful prize.
Thank you very much.
どうもありがとう。
Today is a long-awaited day. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to receive this wonderful award. I am so happy to have continued for 50 years. I wish to say thank you very much to everybody, to all of you and to everyone who supported my husband. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yumiko has given CALLERLAB a little present too. Thank you, Yumiko. Thank you.
I love the pictures up there. There. I'd like to introduce to you now John Marshall. John is the chairman of the board. John started calling in 1969 and joined CALLERLAB in 1980. John is his second term as chairman of the board, and this is John's 31st CALLERLAB convention.
Thank you, Eric. What a night, huh? What a night. If this is your first CALLERLAB convention, you may be hard-pressed to see another night like tonight. I mean, this is an amazing, amazing night, amazing accomplishments, and people that are certainly due to be honored and then some. I think this is just wonderful. Before I speak to you, I'm going to take Chairman's prerogative for just a moment, if I might. Most of us are very fortunate to have partners that support us, as Mike was also talking a moment ago. Some of us have lost partners along the way, sadly, but for the most part, we're still together, all of us. And without our partners, I don't know about you, but in my life, it wouldn't be a real life. And I'm most fortunate, and I think those of you who are fortunate enough to have met Mary know how lucky I am. Thank you, love. Now it says here, good evening. Alter, modify, vary, transform, revolutionize. All of these are listed in the thesaurus as synonyms for the word change. For quite a few years now, we've been talking change. Well, talking change is pretty easy. Change itself, the doing and the accepting, is, as we all know, not easy. John F. Kennedy said, change is the law of life. And those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. Of course, it's also said that everything old is new again. Please allow me to suggest that the most critical word in President Kennedy's quote is the word only. Only look to the past. Only look to the present. Let me also suggest that there's often a lot of truth to be found in old sayings or old adages. Sometimes old approaches, and I put old in quotes, but old approaches may, depending on current conditions and circumstances, they may be better than present ones. Hence, if an old approach to something replaces a present approach, then the old becomes new, or new again. That would represent change. Even though it's old to new, it's still change. And if that change is a transition to the better, then all is well. I mean, we all know, better is better, and good is gooder, and, well, gooderer, then good is good. And that would be nice to see. Albert Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over again with expectations of a different outcome is the definition of insanity. We've seen a lot of repetition. Change for the sake of change is often pointless. Change in the hope of improvement, certainly something we would like to see. Additional change may be necessary. Everybody can help me with this. If at first you don't succeed, change. There are many, because of their love of square dancing, are, if not actually embracing change, or at least attempting it. More callers and dancers than you might imagine are having successes as a result of seeing the opportunity for and taking the risk of making changes to their programs, and thank goodness for that. Another adage, if you'll forgive me another one, is failing to try. It's the same thing as trying to fail. Those who are being flexible, creating opportunities, following through, evaluating their results, and making appropriate adjustments after seeing the benefits of their willingness to try to change, those are the people that are making a difference. To paraphrase the song, Give Peace a Chance, all I'm saying is give change a chance. CALLERLAB, like square dancing, has to give change a chance. I believe change involves being brave and being open to different ideas, being inventive, being willing to evaluate and adjust, and being willing to compromise. If you don't think compromise was at the core of CALLERLAB's birth, ask some of the early founders who we are so fortunate to have here with us this week. People such as Jim Mayo, Jerry Helt, Norm Wilcox, Melton Luttrell. They'll tell you stories of pride and promise, of passion and pain, of heroic battles and honor. And they will tell you stories about the courage of compromise for the greater good. In order to move forward, CALLERLAB, and remember, CALLERLAB is you, CALLERLAB and the leadership of CALLERLAB must take on some challenges. And these challenges will require change and its associated factors, especially compromise. CALLERLAB must become more strongly allied with other organizations that are equally committed to the promotion and preservation of the square dance activity in its various forms. Representatives of some of those very organizations have taken their time and resources to be here with us, and to continue developing and maintaining their relationships with us. And we do appreciate that. You've met them, seen them, you know they're here. Many of them have been here repeatedly, and we do appreciate it. One important aspect of our ongoing efforts must be to make CALLERLAB and what we stand for better known to the current square dance community worldwide. We must also actively search for entities outside of our current experience, entities who will be interested in working with us to promote the values, ideals, and benefits of square dancing. Things like mental stimulation, physical activity, personal interaction, musicality, historical significance, and much more. And those are integral parts of square dancing, and they're well known to us. We all know that. But the non-square dance specific organizations and individuals, they don't know it yet. But we need to make sure they do. To accomplish these and other endeavors, we need to have all of our oars in the water, pulling with equal strength, mutual respect, and all heading in the same direction. To that end, I'm calling on the CALLERLAB Board of Governors and the Foundation Board of Directors, with the assistance and input of the past Chairman's Committee, to lead the way for our organization by establishing the following initiatives. First, develop a specific unifying vision that addresses the positive branding of CALLERLAB to the worldwide dancing and calling communities. Second, develop a specific unifying vision that addresses the promotion of the very positive physical and mental health properties of square dancing to a world of non-square dancers that generally doesn't associate those values with an activity they think they know about. Third, establish a process through which CALLERLAB and the CALLERLAB Foundation can partner with non-dancer organizations such as the Heart Association, President's Council on Physical Fitness, and the Alzheimer's Association in joint efforts to help other people improve their lives, which will have the corresponding benefit of improving the life and health of overall square dance activities. And fourth, develop a program that will entice other international, national, regional, and local square dance organizations to partner with CALLERLAB in the pursuit of any or all of those other initiatives that I've listed. I believe the challenges I've outlined here, if they are answered, will go a long way in helping CALLERLAB to successfully meet its ongoing obligation to and passion for the promotion and preservation of square dancing in all its various forms. For the CALLERLAB Board of Governors, the Foundation Directors, all our members, and the leadership of the many dancer organizations, I say to you, let's not miss the future. I'm committed. I'm ready for alteration, modification, variation, transformation, revolutionization. Are you all ready? Thank you.
We're almost done here. We have one more announcement. I'd like to introduce Mr. Tim Mariner, the incoming chairman of the board.
I see the Band-Aid. It's important. Don't touch the Band-Aid. Right. Our organization has been privileged to have some great leaders throughout all the many years. And much like passing the torch or a baton, it has to progress through the generations, and that happens usually effortlessly, and the transition is transparent and works, and it's worked for many years for this organization. We have, in the past, we've had the home office has had to have at least 3 transitions, and this gentleman has been very influential in being a part of both the latter 2. And it's my privilege and honor to present the CALLERLAB Chairman of the Board, Mr. John Marshall, his award, a terrific caller and a wonderful leader and a great friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your work. Thank you. Great.
Thank you all. It's an honor to serve the organization. I've been coming since 1980. Every year's great. Every year I'm re-energized. I'm particularly grateful to the board who elected me to the chair. That's truly an honor, and it's a duty that I've cherished doing and will always cherish doing. And I'm honored to be associated with everybody in this room, and especially the past chairman who've been very supportive of me in my term. Thank you all very, very much.
And finally, I'd like to ask Mr. Dan Shermer to come down and give us his parting remarks for the evening.
Thanks, Eric. A big hand for Eric and Jennifer tonight from the MC. Thank you. I'd like you to remember this date, March 30th, 2010. Very historic night. 3 gold cards and a milestone. It's a very, very important night. I'd like to ask the award recipients to come down to the right-hand side of the stage after we finish the banquet tonight for photos. And want to remind you that tonight we have 2 dances. One is the contra dance at 9 o'clock with Calvin Campbell in the Cascade Room. Immediately following that will be Zesty Contra by Clark Baker. Same room. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, the General Assembly, the General Meeting, and it'll be in the Cascade also. If you're checking out tomorrow, you must be out of your room by noon. You may take your luggage to the bell stand at the Crown Plaza or over here, I imagine it'd be okay. Please plan to stay for the annual meeting tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. There will be 3 motions presented, debated, and voted on. We need your input in this process. If you ordered your CDs or plan to order your CDs, Scott will be out in the lobby area tomorrow morning. Make sure you do that, and they're very, very fine recordings. Your next meal will be breakfast in this room, 7:30 a.m. until 8:45. Do not forget your badge. No badge, no food, no exception. Eric?
Thank you. And tomorrow morning, remember to bring your vote cards for the general meeting for all the issues to be voted upon. That's all the awards and announcements for tonight. I want to thank you all for coming and enjoying tonight's meal. Thank you for being here. CALLERLAB is here. God bless you, and have a good night's sleep.
Good job, Eric.